Hello, everyone. My name is Kate, and I'm an admissions representative for School Year Abroad. And I'm also an alumni of SYA France 2019. So we're going to go over a brief overview of our program, some of our offerings, and then we're going to jump into talking to some of our alumni. If at any point you have any questions, please feel free to drop that in the chat. We'll have a brief Q&A at the end. But yeah, really excited to get started. If we want to bring the alumni back. So if you guys want to just do a quick introduction in your target language and then in English, that would be great. Louise, do you want to get us started?
Sure. Bonjour, je m'appelle Louise. Je viens de San Francisco, à San Francisco University High School, et j'ai étudié en France, à Rennes, le semestre dernier. I'm Louise. I'm from San Francisco. I go to San Francisco University High School, and I studied in France this past semester.
Ciao a tutti, mi chiamo Chloe, sono di Washington DC e frequento Sidwell Friends. Hi everyone, my name is Chloe and I live in DC and go to Sidwell Friends School, and I was in Italy for the past year.
All right, thank you so much. We're going to jump into a quick presentation and then we'll bring everyone back to go over some of our questions. All right. Picture yourself here, traveling Europe with your friends, learning a new language through speaking with locals and living with a host family. If you can picture that and it excites you, it's time to consider School Year Abroad for either a year or a semester. With campuses in France, Spain, and Italy, SYA will give you the opportunity to discover a new city through the eyes of a local, gain more independence, and let language come to life. SYA is here to turn your learning journey into one that is less focused on textbooks and photos and more real-life experiences and adventures at one of our 3 European campuses. At SYA, you'll live with a personally matched host family, fully immerse yourself in the local culture, and feel truly at home living abroad. You will be a part of a small student body composed of sophomores, juniors, and seniors from high schools across the United States. You'll go to school at a campus just for SYA students and take your 6 classes together. Students must have completed 2 years of Spanish or 1 year of French to apply to these campuses, while students applying to Italy do not need to know Italian. A wide variety of language learners thrive at SYA due to our fully immersive program. You don't need to feel confident speaking the target language today to attend SYA. The goal is to learn the language through immersion. As a part of our experiential curriculum, field study days will challenge you to think creatively and critically while fulfilling graduation requirements here at our various campuses. Whether it's learning about local street art, interviewing shop owners in a local market, or harvesting wild asparagus for agroecology, you'll be able to follow what you study in the classroom into the real world. At SYA, you will immerse yourself in a new culture and gain independence as you embark on school-organized trips throughout your host country. From places like Naples, Italy, to Normandy, France, to Andalusia, Spain, SYA students explore all corners of the host country. You'll take ownership of your learning as you design your final capstone project on a subject that is important to you. Some recent capstone projects include crafting an instrument, learning the art of bread making, and exploring the route of an ancient pilgrimage. With the assistance of our extracurricular coordinator, you will also be given many chances to engage with the local community through artistic, musical, athletic, and service-oriented opportunities. Each campus also facilitates exchanges with local high schools to help you establish local friends and connections. At each step of your journey, you'll have the support of American peers and faculty members who will keep you on track in math and English. Your local teachers will push you outside of your comfort zone as they teach in the target language and guide you on field study and weekend travels. Colleges also love SYA. Our college liaisons help juniors begin the college process and seniors complete their applications. Our campuses are also SAT and AP testing sites. The independence, self-awareness, and confidence you'll gain while living abroad will help you stand out at colleges. Here are some of the schools most frequently attended by SYA students in the past 5 years. At SYA, we also believe that financial need should not discourage any student from this amazing experience. Almost half of SYA students receive need-based financial aid or merit-based scholarships. We offer 10 plus scholarships and utilize over $2 million of financial aid to ensure SYA can be a reality for most students. Are you ready to start walking a new path and embracing a different language and culture, all alongside supportive teachers, new family members, and friends? Before you answer that, I want to show you what life is like through the eyes of our various alumni. You can scan the QR code here or sign up for our email list, follow us on social media where our campus influencers are creating content. And at one of our virtual sessions as well, you'll also gain a lot of information and a more inside perspective from actual students. All right. Thank you guys for joining us. Chloe, if you want to get us started, maybe by telling us about your favorite class.
Yes. I would say my favorite class is probably agroecology. It's definitely very different from any other science class I've taken, especially because it's a lot more hands-on. I would say a highlight was making wine and cheese, because like we were able to kind of like see the physical product of both like our own hard work and also like fully understand the science behind it.
Great, thank you. And Louise, do you want to talk about some of a co-curricular activity that you did?
Sure. So I signed up for yoga, which I hadn't done back in the US, but I decided I would try something new. And so I learned a lot about, so it was entirely in French, of course, and I learned a lot about different vocabulary, like keeping things like flexed, pointed, and it was I did it every Sunday, and it was a great way to like sort of reset myself before every week.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Chloe, do you want to talk about your favorite food from your host country?
Where do I start? Oh my gosh, Italian food is so good. I don't think I tried a single food that I didn't like. I mean, like if you like Italian food, pizza, pasta, like definitely go to Italy. And I think like I guess aside from like the actual food, it's like very significant culturally as well. It's like a big bonding point. Like having dinner with my host family was definitely like a really good way to kind of like build connection because I could practice language skills and like learn new vocabulary when we would like talk about our days, and also eat really good food that my host mom would cook.
Yeah, I remember that from my time in France too, just sitting down at the end of my day and being able to recap everything that I did. It's a great way to practice your French and get close to your host families. I feel like a lot of connections happened over food. And I would love to hear about both of your favorite trips. Louise, if you want to get us started, and then Chloe.
For sure. So my favorite trip happened in February. The school took us to Paris, and we did a lot of activities with the school that we wouldn't have had an opportunity to do otherwise. We got to see the inside of the National Assembly, and even French citizens don't get to do that, so that was very cool. And we saw lots of great museums. And then we also had time to sort of explore on our own. My friends and I did like a run along the Seine, and that was just super fun. And it was definitely my favorite trip by far.
That's honestly really hard. I think like either Florence or Rome. I think Rome during the Christmas season is like absolutely magical. It is a little bit cold, but seeing like all of the monuments in snow and like the giant Christmas tree on the Spanish Steps, like it felt like almost a little bit American just because I'm so used to seeing so much like Christmas decorations everywhere. And I would also say Florence, it's such a unique city, I think. Like me and my friends actually bumped into a lot of other study abroad students, like university students. And it was really interesting because we got to kind of like see kind of what study abroad might be like, once you're in college. And just it's a beautiful city, like again, so much history. And I feel like you kind of get that with every city in Italy. There's a lot of history, and a lot of like different stories and artwork that you're able to explore. So yeah.
Yeah, great. Thank you. All right, and Louise, do you want to tell us a story about your host family? Any favorite memories you have?
Yeah, so I had an amazing host family. It was a very big host family, which is not like my family here in the US. I had 4 host siblings, and they had chickens and a cat. And so it was definitely a very crowded household, but I loved every minute of it. One of my favorite memories is on one of the first weekends, they decided that they were going to take a little weekend trip up to Saint-Malo, which is this sort of coastal town in the north of France. And my host dad was really into like windsurfing. And so I learned that we would sort of take these trips a lot on the weekends. For a couple hours, we'd go to whatever coastal town he was windsurfing in. And me and my host mom, host sister, and little host brothers would explore the town. And so that first weekend, we walked along the beach, and then we went to a crêperie, and we got crepes for the first. I had crepes for the first time in France, and it was one of my favorite weekends that I spent there.
Yeah, that's awesome. I feel like I only heard good things about Semelo. I went up a couple times, and also these memories with host families, talking with peers a bit. We were at SYA, my class, a bit longer ago, back in 2019, but so many of us are still in touch with our host families. You really build bonds that, for me at least, last a lifetime. I'm still in touch with my host mom. I actually went to Semelo with her last year as, a college student. So, building these relationships and these bonds within your host family doesn't go away even when you leave. And it's such a powerful and strong part about SYA. So thank you for sharing that memory. And Chloe, do you want to talk about your favorite fieldwork activity? What did you guys do? Why did you like it so much?
I would definitely say like kind of just all the field trips we took. Because Viterbo is such a small town, and it's kind of situated like a bit north of Rome. And so we got the chance to go to Rome a lot, which was obviously super fun. After we finished our assignments, we were able to just kind of explore the city more, like go to other museums we were interested in. And I really enjoyed that. But I honestly think that I liked enjoying some of the smaller towns nearby. For example, Caparola. I thought that it was just really nice to see like how much history like there is in such small towns. And all of the churches that we were able to visit had like the most beautiful frescoes. And even in Viterbo, one of the churches had like the most insane frescoes, like all of like the angels and like depictions of different like light. And obviously Professor San Martino explained very in depth and gave us a very enthusiastic optime about our friends like art history presentations.
Yeah, thank you. And Louise, do you want to give a brief overview kind of what capstones are and tell me a bit about yours? And then Chloe, I'd also love to hear what your capstone was.
Yeah, so capstones are a long-term project that SYA students work on in their experiential language class. So we took both I took both like a language course and then an experiential language course. And the experiential language course is sort of like is what's involved with fieldworks and sort of like hands-on language work like out in the world. And so in that class, we worked on our capstone projects, which were essentially like a project about something that we were passionate about and is supposed to be very specific to the place that we were studying in. So for me, I chose to do a capstone on French female comedians. I had always been told that humor is the hardest thing to understand when you're learning a foreign language. And I knew that like I was sort of missing a lot of the jokes that my host family would say at dinner and things like that. And I really wanted to learn more about French comedy, and especially like what that space is like for women in Rennes and in France. And so there weren't a lot of people who have done a capstone similar to that. And so the head of school and my experiential French teacher helped connect me with people that they knew who were sort of in the comedy space in Rennes. And I ended up being able to go to comedy shows. And then at the end, I wrote my own like little short stand-up set when I presented with everyone else at the end of the year.
Yeah, I love that. I love the inspiration behind it. It's great. And Chloe?
Kind of going back to food, my capstone was about kind of what comfort food means for, I guess, Italian. I don't want to generalize and say Italians, but I got the chance to interview a lot of people kind of around Viterbo, like some of the cafe owners, my friends, both Americans and Italians, and also my teachers. And I think my main question was basically like, what does comfort food mean? Because I think it can mean a lot of things to a lot of different people, and it's definitely like really important to me, like in my life. Like it's really important to my family here in America, and then it was also like a huge bonding point for me and my host family. So I was really interested to hear like kind of what other people thought and like felt about that. And I guess my final answer was pretty inconclusive. I think it depends on the person. And in Italian, there isn't necessarily a word for comfort food. Like it's cucina della nonna, which literally means like cooking of like the food of grandmother or like plate of grandmother. So I got a lot of answers that were kind of along the lines of like food that was made with love and like a lot of joy, and a lot of like happy memories are also linked with that.
Yeah, great. And then I'd love to hear from both of you again, just what a typical day at school is. If you can just walk me through what your day looked like. Chloe, you want to get started again?
Sure. So I was lucky to live close enough to the town that I could just walk to school every day. It was like a 10-15 minute walk. It depends how late I was, I gotta be honest. Sometimes I had to run, but it was always okay. But yeah, I would walk to school every day, and the way my schedule was, I usually had the first period free or I had math. So I would do math work, and in Italy, we didn't have like a normally structured math class. We all sat in the salone, and Dr. Turner would kind of walk around and help us all with our work as needed, but we didn't have like a formal lecture or anything like that. And then after that, I would usually have Italian language. And then with Miss Tutsi, and we would, in the beginning, we did a lot of like vocabulary. And then as the year went on, we moved on to more like complex grammar. And then after that, usually experiential Italian with Miss Nuccio. And that was, I guess, more like practical applications for Italian. And then one of my electives was Latin because I take Latin here in America. So I wanted to be able to continue that. And I also thought it was a really cool opportunity to take Latin, in the place where it was originally spoken in Rome, or I guess Italy, sorry. But yeah, so I thought that was really cool. And then also English. English was in English, just to be clear. And then agroecology as well, which was my other elective.
Yes, English and math are taught in English.
Yeah, so my day or my commute to school looked very similar to Chloe's. I lived about a 10 to 15 minute walk from school. There were some mornings if I was running late that I would be sprinting through the streets of Rennes trying to get to school on time. The French are very punctual, and so they do not appreciate tardiness. But I was only ever late once, so it's pretty good. Normally, I would get to school and I would have free time in the mornings to do my work in the common room. I spent a lot of time in the common room at school. It's sort of like a place where everyone goes during breaks, sometimes for lunch. people are sitting in there doing work. Definitely between classes, people are always in there for their free. And it was like I spent a lot of time. It's definitely like a comfort room, like, and sort of everyone sits with everyone. And it was, yeah. So I normally do work in there. Normally my days started with my French language class. It was a pretty small class. I loved my teacher. And we sort of did a mix of grammar and then projects. And we covered French poetry a little bit, especially with like the vocabulary of French poetry and trying to read it smoothly. And then I'd have math. Math was more structured. We had a teacher who, she was there for the year, and she was a teacher at Deerfield, and then was spending the year teaching math, and she taught all the levels of math. And then I would have my English class. My English class was definitely like my comfort class. I loved being able, it was sort of a great space to process both being like in France and also like learning the English language at the same time. And sort of, we only covered American authors who had lived in France as sort of like, that was our theme. And I learned a lot about like James Baldwin, F. Scott Fitzgerald. So I really loved my English class. We typically have a break and we'd all go to the corner store to get some food. They have fresh baguettes in French corner stores, which is like just, I miss that more than anything. And we'd all talk about sort of our classes. And then we'd have more classes, probably like experiential French. And then we'd go to lunch at the local high school, Jean Massé, and our public transportation card that SYA gives us let us get a meal each day. And French lunches are a lot better than American school lunches, let me tell you. I would get like a really amazing soup and salad and some meat sometimes, and then they always have fresh bread and a dessert. So yeah, and that was amazing. And then afterwards, I would probably go to a cafe to study with my friends after all of the classes were done in the afternoon.
Yeah, great. And also, unfortunately, couldn't have someone from the Spain campus join us today. But if you're interested in hearing a bit more about that life in Spain, though, our programs are very similar, there are some subtle differences, mostly just cultural differences. So I urge you to watch one of our past recorded webinars. There's also a lot of information on our website about the Spain campus as well. So then lastly, I just kind of want to hear a bit more about what made you want to apply to SYA. Louise, if you want to get us started.
Sure. So my mom is actually an SYA alum as well. She did a full year in Spain. And so I sort of grew up hearing about it and how it sort of transformed her life. But I didn't really know that I wanted to apply until my French teacher at school encouraged me and said that it was definitely something that I should do if I wanted to deepen my language skills. And I knew that I did. I wanted to be fully immersed. And then a girl a couple years older than me did a spring semester in France. And I thought, she came back, she said she loved it. And I thought, okay, this is definitely something that I can do. And I started getting excited and looking at how to apply.
Neither of my parents at SYA, but I heard about it kind of, I guess, through my school, because Sidwell is a partner school. So someone came and gave a presentation about it freshman and sophomore year. And during both of the presentations, I was kind of like, oh, like that'd be really cool, but like I don't know if I can do that. It kind of just seems like, I guess, more of like a fantasy or like something I could be like, oh, like maybe I'll do that. I don't know. But I never imagined that I would actually apply. I guess for me, the reason I applied, like I was just kind of curious to like, I guess, gain more of like a global view. Like I've gone to the same school my whole life and have grown up with all the same people, which is amazing because, like it gives us a chance to form closer relationships. But I was also just really curious to see kind of what else is out there, like outside of DC, outside of my school. So that's really what sparked my interest, I guess, in applying. And yeah, sometimes like I kind of feel like it was like a crazy fever dream. But like I'll look at pictures and I'm like, there's like no way that like on Halloween, like me and my friends were in Rome, like instead of like rushing to submit our Common App, like, but yeah.
Yeah, and that feeling does not go away, I promise you. I'm still feeling that, going through my old pictures and everything, and still in contact with old friends, and we'll reminisce. I mean, I'm still here doing this because I loved it so much. So thank you so much for sharing all those experiences. Love to hear both of your guys' insight. We'll jump into some questions. So for APs and honors classes, all of our classes are taught at an honors level, and we don't offer AP classes formally, though we are an AP testing site. So if any students are interested at the end of the year in taking those AP exams, that is an option, but we won't be structuring the courses to the tests. For parents visiting, parents can visit after a few months, but we like the students to get settled. So it's pretty common, especially for year-long students, for parents to come visit over the holiday season, though not expected. So some parents will, some won't. But we do prefer to wait a bit of time just for that integration to happen. It's a bit easier when you kind of jump into the deep end, learn how to swim, and then you get to show off all your new town and your new friends and your school. And then, yeah, if we want to jump to the next question. Host family matching is done through a survey. So in the summer after your acceptance, you'll get a survey and you can fill them out, and then you'll be paired by a local host family coordinator. Just some details, like they'll ask you a bunch of different questions, and you can kind of rank what preferences you have. You know, maybe big family, small family, close to city center. I know both of you guys live close to the city center. I lived about a 15-minute drive away, but super accessible. We all get public transit cards, so it makes you learn the city, and I feel like there's always SYA students nearby. But I've talked to people, some people fill them out in a ton of detail, like I did, where I even asked, I said, oh, I would love to have a cat in my host family because I'm a cat person. It would make me feel comfortable. And I got a cat, which is not a guarantee, but also I've met students that have, had great luck not putting a ton of details because they just wanted to see what was thrown at them, and they ended up with a great pair. So a lot of options there. We really do our best to try and match you with the best possible family. And, kind of depends on what you're looking for, the type of family that you end up with. Extracurriculars, the extracurriculars are offered is what you can find in the city. So if you want to do a yoga class with your host family, it's really what is up to you. I joined a volleyball team. I saw people who joined local music conservatories, and they had to audition in, the local language. There were people who did art classes, ceramics, painting, various different sports teams. Really anything that you can find, you can do. The huge encouragement from our end is just to get out and do something and to get integrated and involved in the local community. Great. And then I think that's all of our questions. Feel free to stay. We would love for you to stay connected. If you have any more questions, please reach out to us. We have a lot more information on our website as well. And there's also more of these webinars if you want to hear even more students' perspectives. We have a couple coming up as well. But thank you so much for joining. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your night. Thank you.